Ever get that feeling, that little nagging sense that um, you're capable of more?
Mm,
Like you're just sort of scratching the surface.
absolutely. That potential we all feel inside.
Yeah. And that's really what we're diving into today, this whole idea of personal growth, you know, breaking past those limits we set for ourselves.
It's a fascinating area.
It really is. And this whole exploration kicked off thanks to some great stuff a listener sent over, especially this Vietsetter YouTube video.
Ah, the one with Tatimin Nim and Tu Yim. Hun Kaching Min.
That's the one.
Yeah.
More Than Yourself. It's
Yeah.
really thought-provoking, and we've got a few different viewpoints to unpack here.
Good. A balanced look is always helpful.
Totally. So our mission really is to pull out those key insights, those moments that make you go, aha.
Right. The actionable bits.
Exactly. Stuff that can help us all on this, journey of figuring ourselves out and maybe pushing those boundaries a bit.
And finding what more than yourself actually means for each person.
And naturally, we've got our expert here to help us connect the dots and give us that bigger picture.
Happy to be here. It's a fundamental question, isn't it? Are we sort of fixed, or are we always, well, becoming something new?
That's the core of it.
Hmm.
And that video, it jumps right in with a question I bet a lot of us have thought about.
Which is?
Can someone who already has pretty high emotional intelligence, good EQ, can they actually get even better at it?
Ah, yes. That's a brilliant place to start. Because you might think, well, if you're good, you're good, right?
Right. Where do you go from there?
Well, the approach they talk about, based on experience, breaks it down into two main threads. They're connected, of course.
Okay. What's the first one?
First is really deepening your self-awareness, your emotional self-awareness.
Okay.
And this isn't just thinking about feelings. It's like really connecting with your body. How does anger feel? Where does sadness sit?
Physically connecting.
Yes. And letting those emotions actually surface naturally, not immediately trying to squash them or, explain them away, just observing.
Observing without judgment.
That's the ideal, yes. And then trying to understand the origins. What actually triggers this feeling in this situation? And how does my own perspective, my viewpoint, shape that reaction?
Okay, hold on. So it's less about, say, trying to stop feeling angry right when it happens.
Right.
And more about looking back later and going, okay, why did that specific thing make me so mad? Like digging into the roots.
Exactly that. It's building that ongoing conversation with your own emotional world. It takes practice.
I bet. Okay, so that's the first part. What's the second?
The second part, and it's just as vital, is revisiting your worldview, your fundamental beliefs.
Worldview, like big picture stuff.
Yeah. What do you really believe about happiness? About suffering? Love? What does it mean to be human, even?
Wow, boy, heavy hitters.
They are. And the video suggests ways to explore this. Reading insightful books, obviously. Quiet contemplation. Just looking at the world around you with maybe fresh eyes.
And meditation, right?
Yeah.
That came up.
Yes, significantly. Meditation is presented not just for relaxing, though it can do that,
Sure.
but as a tool to gain a deeper kind of understanding. Something beyond just accumulating knowledge or relying on past experiences.
This is where it gets really interesting for me. Like meditation for actual insight.
Precisely. They talk about it as a way to access a more profound level of understanding. They use the word wisdom.
Wisdom, okay.
And it's not just more facts, it's more like an intuitive grasp of how things truly are. Think of it like knowledge is knowing what, but wisdom is knowing why deep down.
Right.
And the idea is this deeper wisdom can actually help release us from patterns of suffering. It lets us respond to emotions more appropriately with more balance. It leads towards self-mastery.
You still feel emotions, right? You don't become a robot.
Oh, absolutely not. People with wisdom still feel. But the emotions tend to be more, let's say, balanced, peaceful, maybe nurturing, not the reactive, overwhelming kind as much.
So it's like peeling an onion constantly. This journey of understanding emotions, raising awareness.
It really is continuous. And that core idea comes through strongly. We are much more than we currently think we are. There's this huge untapped potential inside.
Yeah, that really resonates. And Thuy Min, in the video, she connected this to Yuval Noah Harari, right?
Yes, she did. From Sapiens, Harari's point about how vital self-reflection and, just stillness are in our crazy hyper-connected world today.
It feels more needed than ever.
Definitely. And there was even that suggestion, quite provocative, that scientists, maybe especially neuroscientists, should learn meditation.
To study their own minds.
Exactly. To observe the instrument directly. It's like a chef needing to taste their own cooking, isn't it?
Huh. Good analogy. Okay, so from awareness, the video shifts gears a bit. It talks about the comfort zone
Hmm.
and the dangers lurking there.
Yes, the potential pitfalls of getting, well, too comfortable. They used that story about the airline captain during the pandemic.
Right, that was striking.
It really was, because here's someone, peak of their career, everything seems totally secure, successful,
Living the dream.
pretty much. And then boom, the pandemic hits, the whole industry gets turned upside down, his reality just completely changes.
It shows how fragile things can be, even things that feel rock solid, like job security, money.
Or even relationships, our own mental well-being. Nothing is truly guaranteed. Comfort can actually become a kind of cage if we're not careful.
That's a powerful image.
Yeah.
It really hammers home that we need to keep growing, keep building that resilience, right, for handling life's curveballs.
Absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
Because the curveballs will come.
Yeah. But the video also points out something else, something maybe harder. How difficult it is to get ourselves or someone else out of that comfortable rut once they're really dug in.
Oh, definitely. We've all seen it, maybe felt it. The analogy they used was just spot on. The caged tiger.
Yeah, forgot it was wild.
Exactly. It's been locked up so long it loses touch with its own nature. It actually becomes afraid of freedom.
Wow.
We can get so attached to our routines, our safety nets, that stepping outside feels terrifying, even if staying inside is limiting us.
It's like we domesticate ourselves with our own security blankets.
That's a good way to put it. And the video makes this really key point. Challenging times often force us to grow. They make us stronger. Too much ease, on the other hand, can dull those survival instincts, that resilience.
So a bit of intentional discomfort might actually be good for us.
It often is, yes. Growth rarely happens in pure comfort. The expert in the video even mentions seeking out challenges deliberately, that a buoy experience.
Right. Going off the grid.
As a way to stimulate growth. Now, they also stress balance. Self-care is important too.
Of course.
But the core message is, don't let yourself stagnate. Don't get too comfortable in the cage.
And they mentioned difficulty isn't just personal hardship, right?
Yeah.
It could be engaging with others' suffering.
Yes, that was an interesting addition. That engaging with the difficulties of others can be a powerful catalyst for your own development and empathy.
So it's not about being a thrill seeker necessarily, but about not shying away from things that stretch you. Okay, so for people listening thinking, all right, I get it, I need to stretch, but how? Does the video give practical steps?
Yes, it does. It brings it down to earth. The suggestion is pretty simple. Try to carve out some time each day. Maybe just 30 minutes, maybe an hour.
For what?
For activities that are different from your usual routine. Things that expand your perspective. Like reading books that really make you think, maybe watching films with deeper themes, trying meditation, or even just sitting quietly and reflecting on your core values. What really matters to you.
And the goal of doing this is?
The goal is to uncover those perhaps hidden values, parts of yourself you haven't fully acknowledged or integrated yet.
Ah, finding the untapped bits.
Exactly.
Well,
and then weaving those into your life. It's about expanding who you think you are, realizing you're more multifaceted. And the hope is, by doing this consistently, you might discover you're capable of much more. It can lead to a richer, broader way of seeing life.
That makes sense. Kind of like exercising a muscle you didn't know you had.
Yeah.
The video also mentioned its sponsor, Phonos, having resources for this.
Yes, briefly. They pointed to it as a potential tool for listeners wanting to find materials for this kind of self-improvement work.
Okay. Now, the conversation took another interesting turn, linking back to something a listener brought up. This feeling of being confined, even when your surroundings seem fine. Like being in nature, but still feeling uneasy.
Yes, that's a really insightful point from the listener, because it shows our inner state isn't just a reflection of the outer world.
Right. You can be on a beautiful beach and feel miserable.
Exactly. The video uses this lovely analogy, gentle raindrops causing a big awakening.
Okay.
It speaks to that subtle but really powerful link between our immediate feelings, our emotions, and our deeper level of awareness or understanding.
How so?
Well, it then dives into a Buddhist perspective on how emotions arise. It introduces this concept, tu.
Ku. How do you translate that?
It's tricky. Maybe imagination, projection, evaluation. It's like the mental lens or filter we view reality through. And this lens is shaped by everything, inherited knowledge, personal experiences, all the info we absorb.
So it's our interpretation layer.
Kind of. The idea is that emotions emerge from our basic consciousness, plus this tomb. So when we encounter something, we're not seeing it purely objectively. We're seeing it through this filter, this projection.
Ah, so my reality isn't necessarily your reality because our tung is different.
Precisely. The video points out that even science acknowledges our perception shapes our experience of reality. And this perception varies based on our level of awareness.
Which is why developing awareness is key.
Exactly. Because emotions like greed, anger, delusion, the classic ones, they really cloud that lens, especially if we're just running on instinct.
Right.
As awareness grows, we move from being purely driven by those raw emotions towards having more clarity. We can regulate them better through discernment, through knowledge.
So it's a cycle. Perception shapes emotion. Emotion influences perception.
It's very much an interplay. And the video really stresses how wrong perceptions, which can come from unexamined beliefs, social conditioning, fear, even stuff we absorb online without thinking.
All the noise.
All the noise. How those wrong perceptions lead to wrong emotions. The example used was prejudice leading to negative reactions.
Okay, that makes sense.
And this highlights our responsibility. We need to cultivate our awareness and manage our emotions because, frankly, negative emotions can be really destructive.
But it's not just the obviously bad emotions, is it? Did they mention things like excessive love?
Yes, that was a subtle point. Can even seemingly positive emotions, when they're excessive, stem from a kind of wrong perception? It's complex. Judging right or wrong definitively is hard. Experience plays a huge role.
True. It's rarely black and white.
And this leads nicely into the body-mind connection again. They revisit that analogy of taking a bath.
Right. The simple act of feeling the water.
Yeah. How focusing on that simple physical sensation helps reconnect the mind, which might be stressed and racing, with the body. It grounds you.
Creating that sense of calm.
Exactly. Peace and healing often start right there, in that connection. The video emphasizes consciously bringing the mind back to care for the body, to understand the emotions in the body. They're all linked: body, emotion, imagination, awareness.
It sounds like a big undertaking, this self-exploration.
It is. It takes time. But the most crucial part, according to the video, is liberating our awareness from those limiting perceptions and filters.
Freeing the awareness. Okay, so this journey, it seems like it never really ends. The expert in the video talked about their own path, right? Repeatedly feeling stuck.
Yes. They showed that even after achieving what felt like real freedom or breakthroughs, there were still times later on where they felt stagnant again, like hitting another plateau.
So what keeps you going then, after you've already done a lot of work?
That's the question the video explores. What propels further growth? It suggests things like external guidance teachers, mentors, the influence of a supportive community, or actively seeking out challenging environments again.
Which brings us back to the expert's D-boy experience, choosing the challenge.
Exactly. And notably, this was after periods of living communally and learning from others. It suggests a very personal internal drive for even deeper exploration.
It makes you think about potential. The video mentioned the science bit, too, about brain usage.
Right, that we supposedly only use a small percentage of our brain capacity. Whether that specific percentage is accurate or not, the idea is there's likely vast untapped potential there for development.
Feels true, doesn't it? Like there's more horsepower under the hood than we're using.
Definitely. And a listener made such a good point about this, the courage it takes.
To step outside the mental box.
Yeah, because our brains like routine. They're efficient. Sticking with the familiar is just easier, biologically speaking.
So making conscious change is swimming upstream in a way.
It requires deliberate effort. It goes against that natural tendency. And the expert adds that sometimes the toughest extreme condition isn't out there somewhere. It's confronting yourself, looking honestly inward.
Oof.
Yeah, that can be the hardest part.
But importantly, the video also brings it back to everyday life. It says profound growth doesn't have to mean disappearing into the wilderness.
Right, the small steps matter too.
Immensely. Small, consistent practices. They mention something as simple as having dinner alone, mindfully. That can be a starting point for bigger shifts.
Okay, so starting small is valid, but thinking about those bigger shifts, moving from, say, mindful solitude at home to a longer journey like Debo, what prepares you for that? Is it just about courage?
Well, the video stresses that whoever you think you are now,
Yeah.
that's probably not the final draft.
Uh-huh. Good way to put it.
We all likely have talents, abilities, maybe even virtues that we haven't fully recognized or woven into our lives or even our careers.
Like hidden gems?
Exactly.
Huh.
And it touches on how some people have lots of different talents but struggle to integrate them, to make them work together. It points to that need for ongoing practice, reflection, and being willing to adjust your self-image.
Constantly updating the software. Kind of. And for the expert, the path involved that prior phase living communally, the discipline of monastic practice. That was about working on ego, building empathy, developing inner strength.
So building the foundation first.
Yes. Building the resilience needed before taking on the deeper solitude. It suggests that even those solo journeys stand on the shoulders of past collective experiences and teachings.
That makes sense. You carry that inner toolkit with you. Now, what about the modern world big challenge, FOMO?
Ah, yes. The fear of missing out.
It seems totally at odds with needing solitude and introspection, right?
It's a huge tension. How do you choose to step back, be quiet, reflect, when your phone is buzzing and there's this constant feeling you might miss something important socially, professionally?
It's really hard.
Yeah.
So what motivates someone to push past just being good enough, to choose introspection over the constant activity?
The video suggests a few things. One is inspiration from others, seeing those shining stars who embody qualities we admire.
Role model.
Right. And also maybe a fundamental dissatisfaction with just being ordinary, a sense that there's more to life.
An inner restlessness.
Exactly. A compelling inner drive. A feeling that if you don't pursue that further growth, something feels off, even if it means facing challenges or making sacrifices.
Like an internal calling you can't ignore.
It's portrayed almost like an inner battle. You've got fear, ego, self-doubt on one side.
The usual suspects.
And determination, resilience, that inner knowing on the other. The video reminds us the expert was in a comfortable, successful place before debut.
Right. They didn't need to leave, externally speaking.
No, but that inner sense of untapped potential was stronger than the pull of comfort. They even mentioned the movie Into the Wild as an inspiration.
Ah, Chris McCandless. A powerful, if tragic, story of following that inner call.
Indeed. It resonated deeply.
So, thinking about all this, does it mean there are basically two kinds of people? Those wired for constant growth and those content to stay put?
Well, the video acknowledges complexity here. It mentions conditions like Asperger's, where someone might naturally prefer routine and find stepping out very difficult, needing a lot of support.
So predisposition plays a role.
It seems likely. And our level of awareness influences our desire for change, how we react to new experiences. But then you have Greta Thunberg.
Right. Who has Asperger's, but became this global activist way outside any comfort zone.
Exactly. It complicates the simple two types idea. It makes you wonder, what's the driving force?
Is it purpose? Do you need a really strong sense of purpose to push through those barriers, maybe overcome personal inclinations?
That seems to be a key factor. The expert shared that during ID Boy, a huge motivator was this growing ideal, wanting to help others, alleviate suffering, maybe even build healing centers.
So it wasn't just self-discovery, there was a bigger why.
Yes, a purpose beyond the self seems incredibly powerful. Our listener noted surprise at how these ideals evolved for the expert.
Yeah, that they weren't always so specific.
Right, it's like self-discovery and purpose refinement happened together. The expert had a general wish to help way back before monastic life.
Like age 17 sort of thing.
Yes. But the concrete vision of being a healer came much later after a debut. Our paths often surprise us.
They certainly do. And now, is the expert still driven by that, or?
They express deep contentment now, but still very much committed to developing themselves and finding ways to help more people. The drive persists, perhaps in a more integrated way.
So for the average person listening, maybe someone not drawn to monasteries or healing specifically, where do they find their ideal, their purpose?
The video broadens the scope beautifully here. It suggests talent isn't just about professional skills. Being a good listener, that's a talent. Offering support when someone's down, talent.
Okay, seeing value in those human qualities.
Yes. And it gently pushes back against narrow societal definitions of success, especially for women, the pressure for marriage and kids as the only goal.
Right, breaking those molds.
Yeah. So more than yourself isn't just about more degrees, higher status, more money. It's about inner richness, more peace, more happiness, more love, the ability to genuinely help, maybe even heal in small ways, inspiring others, contributing positively.
It's like those expanding circles you mentioned. Start with yourself, ripple out to loved ones, then the community.
Exactly. Find your way to contribute positively, starting from within.
One listener mentioned feeling they're at that stage wanting to expand their positive impact, but needing a bit of direction.
And the advice offered was really grounded. Incorporate mindfulness, meditation into daily life. Why? For more peace, more energy. Then focus on creating or doing things that genuinely uplift others.
Using your platform, whatever it is, positively.
Yes. And also actively trying to understand and support the people around you. See their strengths, help with challenges. It's about working with heart, with dedication, and using mindfulness to deepen that positive impact, which really feels aligned with what we try to do here.
Absolutely. Finding those everyday ways to make a difference. Now, going back to the expert's journey for a sec, that at Du Bois trip. It was planned for one duration, but lasted much longer.
Yes, I think the initial plan was maybe 6 months or a year, and it ended up being 3 years.
Wow, that speaks volumes about letting the journey unfold, doesn't it?
Completely. It highlights how hard it is to predict these deep explorations, the importance of being open, tuiduan, as they say.
Tuiduan.
It's that Zen idea, kuchan lakdo tuiduan, living in the world, finding joy in the path, and letting things unfold according to conditions, going with the flow.
Embracing the present, not clinging to rigid plans.
Exactly. The expert mentioned often changing plans because new opportunities for growth would appear. Seizing those felt more important than sticking to an old script.
I can see how that might be challenging for people working with them, though.
Oh, for sure. It requires flexibility from everyone. But the flip side is rapid learning, growth, and really understanding that life is dynamic. Plans change.
True. So for those of us not quite ready for a 3-year plan-as-you-go adventure, what are some simpler, everyday ways to get that feeling of renewal, of growth?
The video offers a couple of really accessible things. One is daily reflection.
Like journaling.
Could be. Or just taking 5 or 10 minutes with your morning coffee or evening tea. Review the day. How did it go? Was I honest? What impact did I have? How can I be kinder to myself?
Checking in.
Yes. Identifying strengths, weaknesses, maybe making a tiny plan for tomorrow. Simple but powerful.
Okay. What else?
Seeking feedback. Ask people you trust, partners, close friends, family, for their honest perspective on your strengths and where you could maybe grow.
Ooh, that takes courage.
It does. But hearing how others see you can be incredibly insightful. We often miss things about ourselves.
That's very true. So even these small acts are part of the journey.
Absolutely. They build self-awareness and keep the growth process alive. The expert even framed their current work, building the healing center, working with students as their current journey.
Ah, so the journey continues, just in a different form.
Exactly. Growth happens within commitments too. They spoke of feeling stronger now, more love, more responsibility, driven by wanting to help more people. It's a profound sense of purpose.
Which hints at our final deep dive topic, right?
Yeah.
About the self being connected to everything.
Precisely. That sense of presence and impact extending out into the community.
Okay, this has been incredibly rich. So just to sort of wrap up the main threads here,
Go for it.
we've really explored this idea that self-discovery is ongoing. It's not a one-and-done thing.
Definitely a journey.
And understanding our emotions, connecting them to our deeper beliefs, our worldview, is crucial.
Foundational.
Plus, the need to nudge ourselves out of those comfort zones, embrace a bit of uncertainty, because that's where growth happens.
Can't avoid it if you want to grow.
And finally, that both big ideals and small daily practices have immense power in shaping who we become.
Both matter. Grand vision and daily steps.
So for you listening, as you carry on from here, maybe just chew on this thought. Where might you be, perhaps unconsciously, holding yourself back?
Good question.
What's one small step, maybe something that feels just slightly uncomfortable, that you could take today, just to explore being more than yourself?
Could be anything.
Maybe rethinking your definition of talent, or identifying an ideal that sparks something in you. Just keep contemplating that interplay between your inner world and how you see the world out there.